Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk to you about the phenomenon of linking in anti-dominant life, maybe more precisely in INFJ life. It's a concept that I've started to use to describe the kind of thing that NI is most adept at doing. I in particular mentioned that the best way to describe the activity of the NI dominant is not that of just knowing, but of just linking, out of which emerges a new form of knowing at the end of the process of linking, which sometimes can take a long time, hence what I described as haziness, uncertainty, the impression that sometimes INFJs can give of being a little slow with things and so forth. Linking, though, is something that, the more I think about it, is not just an intrapsychic phenomenon. And by this I mean that, yes, it says something very deep about the structure and patterns of the NI world. The patterns of the NI world, the objects of the NI world are structured through linkages. Often the linkages are isomorphically quite indirect and obscure. These are the ways of the unconscious. Lacan would say that there's a relationship of metonymy, of metaphoricity between them, which sometimes makes it hard to consciously explain why a particular pattern has been linked to another, although there always is a response. There's always an answer to this. It's just not an easy one to unearth. It's not an easy one to uncover. But linking, again, the more I think about this phenomenon, is something that is much more basic, not only to INFJ existence, but to INFJ well-being. So there is a normative dimension to this idea. It is not just a descriptive idea. It is not just an intellectual abstraction. It has bearing on the way that we conduct our lives and the way that we can flourish. And I'm a big fan of this idea of flourishing. I talk about it in the Infinite Soul, INFJ Flourishing. By the way, this is my latest book on the INFJ. As you can see, it's about INFJ life in the modern world, how to find happiness, value, and purpose in a world we often find hostile. Check the link below if you'd like to know more. Check the reviews, it helped a lot of people. Now, the flourishing of INFJs has to do with linking, not purely as an NI process, because to a large extent, linking as an NI process happens anyway. It happens in the lives of self-described happy INFJs, and it happens in the life of self-described anxious INFJs or sad INFJs or distressed INFJs even. Since NI takes care of itself, it cannot do anything else than to link in many ways. So the dimension of linking that I want to focus on here has more to do with volition. It has more to do with a conscious willing. That is to say that the INFJ here has a choice. We are really in the existential territory. The INFJ can choose not to link, or the INFJs can choose to link. And this linking here is not between NI patterns, at least not in the first instance, but rather between the NI world and the external world. So what I used to call bridging, the bridging of severance, I think I'm progressively going to rename linking, and the resolution of severance through linking, bringing back together, patching back together, relinking what used to be severed. And of course, the severance is the original sense of being separate and distant from external reality as an INFJ, knowing that that is not synonymous, and you should always keep this in mind, this is not synonymous with actually not being in the world, not being in external reality, okay? To say that we are alienated from external reality in no way suggests that we are not in external reality. And we see evidence of the fact that we are in external reality all the time. We are hungry and we need to eat. Okay, that's a point of contact with external reality. We have friends, that's another point of contact. We like to take walks in nature, we go to the shop, we go to the cinema, we encounter people, we drive, I don't know, we do sports, we read books. I mean, so many points of contact with external reality, right? The world outside of our apparatus, of our pure apparatus of perception or subjective apparatus. So the objective is something that is out there and we do have contact with it. Our sense of being alienated from it is existential. Right? It's something that we feel in our bones, right? It's a pre-thought, pre-rational experience. But another way of putting what I just said, right, is that existential alienation, the common lot of all INFJs without exception, if you're part of the INFJ family, this is one of your defining features. You experience alienation and there is no way out. However, existential alienation presupposes that you exist, right? That's fair enough. I think it's a fairly easy logical step. The fact that you exist presupposes a world. You know, you're always in a world. We're in existentialism, the Heideggerian type here. But then, if you are in a world, you're linked to the world. So in fact, existential alienation, when you think about it more deeply, no matter how valid and profound its impact on INFJ life, is always arising out of a more basic substrate, a more basic assumption of linking, of being embedded in the world. So that's why in the Ecstatic Soul, which is my first book on the INFJ, looking deeply at the INFJ mind and what's it like to think like an INFJ and be an INFJ, check it out at the link below if you'd like to know more. Check the reviews again, it's helped a lot of people. Well, the chapter two is called The World Recovered. Yeah. Now, why do I talk about the world being recovered? I didn't talk about the world being discovered. I didn't talk about the world being found. I didn't talk about the world being observed or imagined. I talked about the world being recovered. So there is a process of recovery in the path of INFJ individuation, that is spiritualization. The recovery means that there used to be linking. There used to be what you would describe as being in the world in a seamless sense, until the emergence and differentiation of our different cognitive functions made it such that NI gave us a world of alienation. NI gives us a world of many gifts and many beauties, but it does also involve a world of alienation. And in fact, the beauties and the joys and the intriguing patterns that NI experience gifts us, it doesn't just give us, but it gifts us, are dependent on alienations. It's a very complex mechanism at work. And there is a sense in which for this to be possible at all, there needs to be worldhood, there needs to be world embeddedness. And the idea of linking as a recovery of that original link is obviously going to be fundamental to INFJ life. And I think that what we now have to look at, and I will do this in the next video, I promise, I'm recording it straight after this one, is how we can concretely do that. I mean, of course, when you think about it, what I call, presence or prescience as vocational activities of INFJs, having a life project that is embodied in the world, is the quintessential realization of the relinking, right? Of the recovery of the world. But we should not be misled and imagine that we as INFJs move from a state of not having a life project and being alienated and severed to suddenly having a life project and being desevered in our relinking. It's too daunting a task when it is described like this, and a lot of INFJs would prefer to just ignore it. It feels like it's too much pressure and one would not even know where to begin. But principally, the main issue with this particular view is that it's false. This is not how the vocation of the INFJ begins. It begins with incremental steps. And we're going to be looking at those steps in the next video. Give me a like if you enjoyed the video, guys, and don't forget, I have a Patreon page that you can support. I very much depend on your kind donations, could not do it without you. You get access to some cool perks, like a Discord server, the Fourfold, where we have really cool discussions, and I'm there most days, where you can interact with me directly, ask me questions if you want an informal typing, and other such niceties. You also get bonus video content every 2 to 3 weeks, where I go in depth about a particular topic of your choosing. I always ask my Patreon supporters, and I go in, release a 20 to 30 minutes deep dive into that topic. So if that is of interest to you, see you on Patreon. You help me, I help you. See you soon, guys. In fact, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.